episode of Vigor Warriors 2 and the 1% Club. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are on your purpose, continuing to conquest yourself and therefore conquest things around you. I think that it's always interesting. I see new things out there all the time. We'll talk about a big topic. I'm going to kind of combine topics together today. Thank you guys for all your comments, likes, donations. I appreciate those a lot. We're going to talk about it. Let me go through some shout outs real fast. The lofipimp family could be holding you back. I think it's always a possibility. The family obviously is your family. And you've been brought up with them, and so there's a lot of great things with that. But remember, the attitude is important here. I believe a lot in stoicism. I believe in detaching a lot of things, and I think as time has gone on, I've learned that. But you have to kind of be careful. The world is always inundated with these type of things, and whether it's your family members or not, you have to always kind of clean that your mental house up. And we'll talk about that a little bit later, eliminating the clutter in your closet. We'll do that another time. But it was a good topic that you bring up. PM, thank you. Sheniskd, thank you. My voice. Szyman, caffeine. I have caffeine in green tea. I don't drink coffee, but I have a lot of caffeine in the green tea. I do believe it's good for reducing weight. I don't bank on it a lot, only because it keeps me up all day, all night. I'd rather have natural types of things if I can, but caffeine can be effective at times. Capoch, consulting growth, continue that. It's great. It's wonderful. Dr. Von Life's investing. Monolisa talking about living in the present. I agree. That's a great concept. I think we have to live right in the now. The past is long gone. The future we don't know about. All you can do is the best you can at this moment, and I agree with that. Alfonso Perez, practicing grounding, sun gazing things. We're going to talk about that in a separate video, but I think we do have to be grounded in our thoughts and ideas. JS says don't raffle paper. Okay, I'll try not to do that as much, JS. I appreciate that. Probably sounds bad in the video. Richard Smith, dealing with deadly sins. We'll do an extra one on that one. Rupert Hodson, thank you. Jonathan, thank you. Erik, 2 years. Keep it going, my friend. Jhon Do relapse after 4 months. That's okay, my friend. Keep it going. You made it for 4 months. That's the positive, and keep going after that. Okay, so at 2 minutes and 35 seconds, we're going to talk about several this together, and I guess I can mention this. Once on your run retention, it's important to you can use it to eliminate a lot of things in your life, and I think it's important to kind of build that self-control. Once you build that self-control, then you can kind of go after all these other addictions. And I think a lot of people who've contributed to this one, let me kind of mention it. YF talks about dropping smoking cigars. Wonderful. Keep doing that. I think that, actionpack kooly talks about the fact that we have to eliminate all kinds of other addictions along with this. Well, this is what you do. In my case, going back to my history a little bit here, and I'll talk about this a little bit because I know that we had a few people talk about how long does it take to kind of get all the benefits and things like that. I can just tell you my experience with this. I think once I started seriously about 3 years ago, and I think it's 1,150, 60 days, I can't keep track anymore. And really, you shouldn't be keeping track. I only do it for like posts and things like that, just to kind of mention where we're at. And you can see the difference in my journey as I'm going through. But the idea that you want to focus on is building self-control. This goes back to Stoicism, Epictetus, all the types of things that he was talking about, the samurai soldier. And I think the Lord wants you to be, as a male, more stoic. Not that you're totally devoid of emotions, things like that, but detaching away from things so that you're not governed by your emotions. Women and children can do that, but men cannot do that. Men need to be strong. They need to be in the moment. They need to be focusing on those things that are going to help build, provide, protect for their country, their world, their families they're in. So when this began about 3 years ago, I started obviously on the road of retention. Now from that, I said, okay, there's a lot of other things that I can do now that I feel more confident. So I started taking cold showers. Now, I don't take cold showers before I do the Fountain of Youth, because I do think someone mentioned this before, that it does, in my mind, affect the benefits. if you're taking a cold shower right after you do those O's. So I wait until after I take the cold shower. I come back, I do my weight training, I do my Fountain of Youth Kelder exercises, and then I may have time for a treadmill in the morning. If not, I'll do it at night. But then I kind of focus on the diet, and going then back and talking about having some green tea. I have some herbs. I do different types of things in the morning, apples, fruits, vegetables, things like that. And I try to get some meat, tuna, and things like that in there. So I've changed a lot of things over the years. I don't smoke. I really never smoked cigarettes, but cigars I used to smoke once in a while. So I know what you're talking about, YF. I also drank at times before, but I don't do that anymore. And then obviously, something like sugar, refined sugar is my biggest problem with carbohydrates, so I'm getting better with that. But that takes time. It takes time to build this. I'm 62, so it's taken a little time to build those things, but you can do that. And I think that you'll find the benefits because it took me a long time. I had 47 years of the continual patterns. So some of you guys are only 20 years old, 25, 30 years old. So you're kind of just starting off. It took me until I was 58 years old to finally get enough strength and courage and not be a simp behavior to be able to go ahead and stop this. And so as I stop this, now I'm gaining a lot of other types of benefits. And my, physical, I have not looked this good in ever, I don't think, especially in my stomach. So it's really been a real positive for me. The retention, using all the other things around that to try to build yourself up. And so it's going to take a little longer. The older you are and the longer you've been into bad habits, the longer it's going to take to see benefits. I didn't see benefits right away myself, but I wasn't looking for the women's attraction and things like that. I was really focusing more on my health because my health was deteriorating a lot, and I wanted to make sure I took it. When I was 35, because of the football injuries and things that I had, that the doctors said, you're not going to live too much longer. And so this is when I found that Fountain of Youth book. And someone mentioned Goodwill is a good place. Yeah, Goodwill is a great place to find lots of old books and things that you may not find and have to pay a lot of money on Amazon. You can find those a lot at Salvation Army and Goodwill and things like that. So I did find it over there back in, I think it must have been 98, something like that. And then I started kind of looking at that, and I said I had nothing to lose. And so I started doing the exercises and trying to follow the lamas in Tibet. And so a lot of that was looking at diets, looking at things like that. And so it made a big difference in my life. And then obviously the sixth rite I wasn't able to do. And I didn't really want to do that because I felt, well, it's going to hurt me in the long run. I don't want to not, have intercourse and things like that. But there's lots of things you can do, and obviously, obviously you can do it without releasing. You can actually go ahead and, build it up and be able to give it to the person you want. You don't have to lose all the benefits that he's talking about, Kendler now in the book for the sixth rite, just because you're not, you're not on a long streak. I happen to be in a long streak now because I want to kind of get rid of all the bad habits I had, and I'm still fighting in monk mode type of thing myself because I have a high level of energy and it's hard to do that. But you can eliminate action pack kooly. You can eliminate it. And is it healthy? Kwame was asking about that as well. And Richard Smith's talking about should a man ejaculate every 90 days. Again, I think that each person is different on the way you're focusing on this. I think certainly there is a theory that you can't hold everything in if you're not transmuting everything, that there's going to be some leaking or something's going to end up having to come out. And so this is why people have the wet dreams and things at night and do that kind of stuff, because those things naturally will happen. But should you purposely do that every 90 days? I think it gets back into that habit idea again, is that if you're doing it with someone, now, like I said, I only would do it to procreate, with my wife. But if you're doing it to somebody you really want to give them your energy, then obviously in the course of affairs, if you're, having intercourse every 60, 90 days or something like that, or how often you do it, you're going to be able to take care of this. But again, remember, everything becomes an addiction. And so what you got to do is eliminate that addiction as well. It's not so much that you can't have intercourse ever again. I think that obviously, the Bible talks about the fact that people should marry if you had lust. And lust is just having sex all the time. In that case, it's better to find one person and obviously 25 people that you're trying to do this with. So the idea is really that you want to kind of look at your pattern to see. I think certainly healthy transmutation of energy, sexual energy. I think it's important to be able to focus on what is a positive release if you're going to release. But I don't think you should be doing it very often and set up another pattern of bad behavior that we've seen, and being able to kind of do it. Some people are doing it 4 or 5 times a day, and how weak are they going to be? They're in their 20s and they're already having problems, a lot of dysfunction, sexual dysfunction in their 20s. You never saw that before. And that's because people are releasing so much that their body can't function after a while, even if you're 20 years old. So the thing is that you have to kind of focus on the idea here. And Kwame, is it healthy? I think certainly that was one of the things that I dealt with for years. This is kind of why I went back and forth, because I felt like, well, it was going to kill me if I was going to hold this in and not release for a long period of time. I was told that by the doctors. You told that in society. You're told that by everything you're dealing with. You're dealing with a lot of brainwashing and people telling you this should be nerves. It's almost like, I was listening to music this morning, and you look at all the sappy songs, they're all written for women, because the thing is that that's a simp behavior. All these things about men, falling, treasuring women, all this kind of stuff, that leads nowhere, my friends. But it took me many, many years to figure that out, because I was also brainwashed by all that music and everything. The same thing about releasing an energy. And so this is a common type of objection, refutation that people have, is that they don't want to go ahead and do it because it's going to be unhealthy. Well, I've had 3 years of this, and to me, I have not seen any kind of negative effects. It actually has been all very positive to me. All the benefits have been overwhelming and great, and I feel unbelievable amount of power and energy that I have. And so at 62, I go through the day, and I love getting up in the morning. I love doing this. I love continuing to build. And I'm not going to say anything that doesn't have a negative effect. It probably has a negative effect, but I have not seen that in my almost over 3 years of doing this. So you can kind of look at yourself and see. I guess what I would recommend is trying it, because this has happened. It's been happening for thousands of years. People have been retaining for many, many years, and over time, people have done it at certain periods of time. It's not that everybody's having sex. In fact, until the modern age came in with technology and pictures and all that, you probably saw so much less, because people didn't focus on it. Now people are focusing on it, so it's becoming a negative type of thing when people are trying to focus against, retaining and things like that. You have a lot of people upset, even though I do think it's getting higher than 1% now, because people recognizing the value and importance of this. There is a lot of people who still will look at you funny and those type of things. And I think Jonathan Snyder asked me about this as well. How do you talk to other people about this? Well, I think we'll talk about that the next couple of days more. But the idea is that you talk to people and tell them your life story. You tell them things that are happening, and people see me now as a warrior. They see me a lot differently than they used to, and they just they don't understand what's happened, and it's hard to explain, because their whole brain function is against retention. Basically, you need to releasing all the time, having fun, all this kind of stuff, and having multiple partners and all that. And that society is starting to fold away. You're seeing more and more people recognizing that that's not the way to go. So once you're on retention, the whole key, my friends, is to try to go ahead and use this self-control to get rid of lust. A lot of the deadly sins we'll talk about with in Richard's comment, but also a lot of other things you need to kind of build yourself into. Exercise more. Get into weightlifting. I do the Kendler exercises because that fits right in. The diet is the other thing. Don't overeat. Eat less. I always kind of go back to the old philosophy that I learned with a lot of my European relatives. You're talking about eating like a king in the morning, a queen in the afternoon, and a pauper at night. So basically, your big meals in the morning, so you can wear it all off during the day, and your last one's at night because you can go to sleep and you don't have a lot of food within your system. I used to not always do that, especially when I was teaching late at night. I'd come home and I'd eat too much, and so I've gotten better with that. But I think it all fits into kind of a plan, and if I can get on that treadmill before I go to sleep, then I'm good. But it's a key to it. So anyway, that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today a little bit here. It is great to reduce other addictions because you're going to get stronger. And you become stronger, now you can fight those addictions more. All right, thank you guys for all those great comments. I appreciate Richard asking Rise, RYS, Action Pack Kooly, thank you, YF, Kwame, thank you guys, as well as all the other shout outs that we gave. All right, my friends, until tomorrow, 2 things always remember. First, every day is a new day to a great warrior, so make it a great day. And the second thing, my friend, is we have to continue to battle